After my mother's boyfriend harmed my 3 younger sisters, she lost custody, and we were finally safe. I stepped up to help raise them and rebuild their lives. But 5 years later, she came back, not to apologize, but to demand them back, as if nothing had happened. When she realized no one supported her, she pointed the finger at me, accusing me of turning the entire family against her. She never understood that her actions, not mine, were what truly broke everything apart. My mother, 41F, has 6 kids. Myself, 23F. My sisters, 22F, 19F, 17F, 16F, and my brother, 23M. Growing up was tough for all of us. My mom always picked the wrong men, and we often saw her boyfriends abuse or yell at her. Her second boyfriend even hit us when we were younger. There's a lot more to it, but I'll keep this brief. About 5 years ago, my mom lost custody of my 3 younger sisters due to sexual abuse by her most recent ex-boyfriend. We didn't want our sisters in foster care, so my brother and I begged our grandmother to take them in until we could make a plan or gain custody. It sounds dramatic, I know, but it always felt like my siblings and I were against the world. Our grandmother, a true saint, took in my sisters and told my older brother and me not to worry about custody, but to focus on college. We were hesitant at first, but decided to go to college to build a better future. I dropped out because I couldn't afford it, but my brother graduated last year. My sisters are happy living with our grandmother, and my grandmother loves having them. She says it's a blessing to see her grandbabies every day. They're comfortable, and she has no plans to stop caring for them. When Mom lost custody, all of us, including my grandmother, cut off contact with her. About 2 months ago, my mom emailed me, wanting to reconnect and do family therapy. At first, I didn't tell my siblings, feeling like I was protecting them, but she sent a second email the next month, explaining she'd broken up with her boyfriend and really missed us. She wanted therapy because she had a lot of pain, and knew we probably did too. I talked to my grandmother, who said I should ask my siblings and let them decide. When I spoke to them, the youngest ones were on board because they missed Mom. My other siblings and I were hesitant, but for the sake of the younger ones, I replied, and we set up a meeting. About 3 weeks ago, we met at a restaurant. My mom looked exhausted but eager. I didn't hug her, which visibly annoyed her. During lunch, she caught up with us and then asked if my younger sisters would consider coming home, and if she could regain custody. They looked uncomfortable and weren't sure. I tried to change the subject, but Mom brought it back, talking about how we could all be a family again and rebuild what was broken. The rest of the meeting is a blur. I honestly just checked out as old emotions resurfaced, and I shut down. Later that night, my mom emailed me, upset that I hadn't hugged her or said goodbye. She said it set a bad example for my younger siblings, and they might start treating her poorly too. That email filled me with anger because she had a lot of nerve. I didn't reply, but then I got another email, a confirmation for our first family therapy session. We had it yesterday. We went through the usual introductions. Later, my mom kept going on about how she did everything to protect us. The silence from my siblings and me was deafening. Our counselor asked how we felt. My other siblings didn't speak, and I wasn't planning to either. But then Mom snapped. She told the therapist that I'd told everyone not to say anything because I wanted to turn my siblings against her, and that she'd arranged the session to unite us, not split us apart. After that, I just exploded. I started screaming that she wasn't a good mother and did nothing to protect us. She constantly complained to me about her relationships and problems, which made me internalize her issues as my own stressors. She never protected my brother when her boyfriends beat him for trying to defend her or my sisters. She didn't even consider reporting her ex when my sisters first told her about the abuse they suffered from him. I went off on a lot of other things. By this point, she was sobbing, and so were my siblings. I told our therapist that if anyone was splitting the family, it was her, with her stupidity, ignorance, and sheer neglect. I was breathing hard after that. Looking back, I'm not happy I blew up, but our therapist suggested a break, and I told them I was done. I wasn't going to sit there and let her blame me for her actions. The session ended quickly. Later that night, my phone blew up with calls and texts from my mom's side of the family. They called me a horrible person for hurting my mother and making her feel awful. They insisted she was turning over a new leaf and trying to rebuild relationships. After all those calls and texts, I felt like a terrible person for what I said. Update. Hey everyone, here's an update for those who wanted it. Fair warning, this update will get emotional and might be triggering for childhood abuse survivors. My siblings and I have decided to go no contact with our mother for good. It was a tough conversation this morning, and I initially felt like my outburst had pushed them to that decision so I wouldn't be upset. But they reassured me throughout that they didn't like that she never even apologized when she had the chance. My siblings and I are still struggling with the fact that she won't change, and probably never will. The final push was an email I got from my mother at 4 a.m. today. I've copied and pasted it here. Dear Guju, my nickname, I am truly hurt and devastated that you went public with a private matter. Your Auntie May showed me your Reddit post, and yet you continue to try to villainize me. I was going to explain myself further in therapy, but I'm in a new relationship now with a very loving man. He was the main one who encouraged me to reach out to you all. I was going to surprise you and your siblings in therapy, however, you ruined it. I stayed my distance from you all because after losing your sisters, it made me realize I couldn't even look at myself in the mirror anymore. It made me realize how worthless I was. You calling me a worthless mother was uncalled for. In those relationships, I couldn't just simply walk away. Where would I have gone? What about you guys? Do you not think it ate me up inside every time you guys cried? Every time I tried to protect you guys, just to get beaten up, being knocked out cold, and not knowing if you guys were safe or not. Did any of that not matter to you? I'm trying to redeem myself while also being a victim, and you simply can't get your own head out of your ass. You complain about your pain, not realizing I was a victim too, Guju. We all were. I hate to sound harsh, but you're an adult and can hear these things now. I tried my hardest to protect you all, only for you to trash all my effort in your rant and call me almost every name in the book in front of our therapist, your siblings, and the blatantly visible disrespect to me. All of it truly uncalled for. I will not have contact with you until you apologize to me for what you said. You broke my heart, Guju, but Mama still loves you. And me going no contact with you is to show that you can't just hurt someone because you yourself are hurting. I will be over to see your sisters later at my mom's place to talk one-on-one with them. I would appreciate it if you are there to apologize, but if you will not, then I highly ask that you not be there. That email really crushed me. I completely understand that she was a victim too, as I mentioned to a kind Redditor last night. She did provide what she could, but there were many times we went hungry or without necessities. One of my most embarrassing moments was asking strangers for money so my sisters and I could buy pads and tampons because my mom's third boyfriend threw ours out, not believing in periods. That whole ordeal, among others, was so humiliating. I felt a mix of anger and sadness when she said she tried her hardest to protect us. Where was that determination when her boyfriends beat me and my older brother because we didn't want them alone with or touching our younger sisters? Where was she when she heard me being sexually assaulted in the next room and screaming for her? It's just overwhelming sorrow because in her eyes she did her best. But in my eyes, she did absolutely nothing. And I told her as much in our session. As many of you pointed out, she may have been a victim, but she did nothing to protect us. I have to live with that for the rest of my life. My siblings have to deal with that for the rest of their lives. I have to work through all the damage she caused while she gets to play hero and have her redemption arc. I'm done with her, and I'm happy to know the feeling is mutual, according to her. She called my grandmother this morning during breakfast and demanded to see her kids. My grandmother told her she could try but wasn't coming past the gate unless my sisters wanted her to. My grandmother put her phone on speaker and asked my sisters if they wanted to see her. My youngest sister actually answered this time and said no, and not for a very long time at least. My mom tried to scream at my grandmother, but I could hear her voice cracking from trying not to cry. My grandmother told her to go to hell and never call her again. After that, the conversation about no contact went into overdrive. My siblings have their own memories of her. They're not comfortable with me sharing them, so I just shared mine and a bit of my brother's. It's also surreal. I thought maybe she was okay with being alone, but here she is, not being truthful about when she broke up with her most recent ex. I didn't ask because I don't even care anymore, but she's already in a new relationship. It's hard to grasp that my mother just can't be alone. I even feel disgusted calling her my mother because it stings to know she never really was a mother, not to me or my siblings. For my family who's been messaging me, I just blocked them on every social media platform. They stopped trying to call me once I set up my phone to reject all calls from unknown numbers not in my contacts. As for my mom, I copied and pasted my response here. Victoria, since you are no longer my mother, I have no need for formality. You make me absolutely sick to my stomach. You know the pain you caused me and my siblings. You know you did nothing. You know you never even had a grain of maternal instinct. If you did, you never would have allowed us to get hurt. I know you can't sleep at night with those thoughts running around in your head. I hope for the rest of your life it eats you up inside. Your new boy toy will be the only thing by your side when you're frail and almost dust. I'm done allowing you to hurt, not only me but my brother and sister as well. You have no right to try to prance your happy fake self into our lives now that you see we are doing well without you. It hurts, doesn't it, to know that even through all the hell, we are 10 times the better person you could ever imagine in your twisted little head. You don't have to worry about me contacting you. I will have nothing to do with you, even after your death. I will have no connection and, hopefully, no memories of you. You may still be alive and breathing. But to me, you are a shallow corpse of a stranger, and I intend to keep it that way. You live in a fantasy world, and I hope on your deathbed you have such a crippling feeling of regret that you croak on the spot. Don't ever contact me or my siblings again. My brother wants you to know he'll spit on your grave if he ever finds out you died. So sleep well with that, you monster. I'm not proud of my response, but at this point, she is dead to me. She should have been a long time ago, but it felt so good to release that pain from the deepest part of my chest. I'm pretty sure she won't put up a fight, since my words hurt her so much. If she does and her antics are crazy enough, I'll update again. However, for now, I'm taking a well-deserved break and signing myself up for therapy. I realize I have a lot of anger and resentment built up that I need to work through correctly and positively. Thank you guys for the support and kind messages. I will be posting some of them on a vision board to help with my therapy. Thank you, Reddit, so much for being here in a time of need for a stranger. Love you all. 3. Story 2. My ex, I'll call him Nate, dumped me after I supported him through college and depression. He said I wasn't wife material, then showed up months later begging me back after the woman he left me for rejected him. For the past 9 years, I truly lost myself to Nate. He was my whole world. Everything I did was for him. I helped him through depression, helped him keep his grades up, and even worked 2 jobs so he could focus on college when his parents cut him off financially for nearly 3 years because they disagreed with his major and school choice. Keep in mind, I was also a college student at the time. Once his parents started talking to him again and began supporting him financially, we moved into a new apartment. Nate told me to quit my job. I refused because it was his turn to take care of me. For 16 months, everything was great. He spoiled me. Then I noticed he was more interested in his new friends and sometimes completely ignored me. Last December, he did a complete turnaround and love-bombed me all month. He really went out of his way to make Christmas magical for me. I honestly believed he was going to propose. On January 2nd, he made my favorite dinner and gave a speech about me being his first love and how I'd been there since high school. I kept thinking any minute now he'd ask me to marry him. But no, he dumped me. As his speech went on, my world fell apart. As much as he tried to sugarcoat it, he basically said, "You were a good girlfriend, but that's all you'll ever be to me, a girlfriend. I don't see you as my wife or the mother of my children. You served your purpose, and now I don't need you anymore. I need someone on my level. You're a gold digger." He then told me I had 30 days to move out. I couldn't speak, and he stared at me, waiting for a response. I think this lasted 20 minutes before he said he'd sleep in the guest room and left. Strangely, I didn't cry or get angry. I just ordered cardboard boxes online and went to bed. The next day, I waited for him to leave the apartment before I left my room. I called my boss and begged if I could transfer anywhere. She said there wasn't anything available but would consider me if something in my department came up. Then I reached out to everyone I knew who wasn't also Nate's friend for a place to stay. My cousin invited me to stay in her spare room for as long as I needed, and I could move in right away, which was amazing. In the 4 days it took me to pack and move out, I didn't see or speak to Nate. I doubt he even noticed. I didn't trust myself to ignore texts at the time, so I blocked him and everyone close to him. I even changed my number and email to make sure he couldn't reach me. The first night at my cousin's was when everything hit me. I think I cried every night for the first month. I kept replaying what Nate said, and it made me feel so worthless, like I was nothing, and he only stayed with me because I was just there. Thankfully, my cousin brought in my mom, other cousins, and real friends to give me a much-needed intervention. I truly believe I wouldn't have made it through that first month without my cousin. I'm still healing and waiting on that job transfer because I feel like if I'm not in the same city as Nate and have my own place, a fresh start would do me a world of good. I thought by now I'd be a distant memory for Nate, but shockingly, he sent flowers to my job today for my birthday, which was on Sunday. Apparently, he even went to my parents' house looking for me. And my mom admitted he'd been there before, dropping off stuff and trying to ask questions about me, but they told him to leave. The flowers came with a card saying, "Dear Cassie, happy belated birthday. I've been thinking about you nonstop for the last few months, especially with how everything ended. I need to get something off my chest that I feel will haunt me for the rest of my life if I don't tell you this to your face, but I have no way of contacting you. If it's possible, can we meet up in the near future?" Nate? What could he want? What's haunting him that he needs to say to my face? Everyone in my life is telling me to ignore him, but they hate him. I'm torn, but I can't lie. My curiosity is telling me to meet him to see what he wants. Has anyone been in my shoes? Or Nate's? Mini update. He came to my work today looking for me during lunchtime. I told the receptionist to say I was out and caught a ride home with a coworker so I wouldn't accidentally run into him. Update. So, we ended up meeting, and no, I didn't go to him. I had told the receptionist at my work that if he came looking, for me, to just say I was out for the day after he showed up once. I didn't want the drama of him around my job. So Nate just kept going to my usual spots, like the grocery store I go to every Saturday evening, or the park I run at Sunday mornings, until he eventually ran into me, and he did. Yesterday, he was waiting at the coffee shop I go to after my morning run. When I saw him, I tried to turn around and leave, but he kept calling my name. So I thought to myself, if things went badly, a coffee shop would be safer than my walk home. I sat down and asked him what he wanted. He gave an apology that wasn't really an apology. You know, the kind where they say, "I'm sorry, but pity me." He blamed his mental health, his job, his parents, his friends, everyone but himself. I took someone's advice from here and said, "Cut the crap. I already know everything." He genuinely looked shocked and stared at me for a second. I guess he thought his coworker had already told me everything, so he couldn't lie. Here's what really happened. He fell for a girl in his office. When he told me her name, I knew her immediately. I'd met her a few times. He admitted that for the last 2 years he'd idolized her. To be fair, she's beautiful with an amazing personality. And he hated me because I was the one stopping them from being together, since his coworker was too classy to be a side piece. When he broke up with me, he confessed to her that he was madly in love with her and that he ended a 9-year relationship to be with her. Well, here's where it gets funny. She doesn't even like him, LOL. She called him a piece of trash and told him if he ever spoke to her outside of work, she'd report him to HR. So I asked him, what does any of this have to do with me? Like, we are over. I clearly cut ties. There's no reason for us to speak. He wants to try again, promised we'd get married before the year ends, and said that we belong together. I told him, no, I'm nobody's second choice. You threw me away after 9 years and said some pretty cruel things to me, and now you think if you snap your fingers, I'll come running back? He tried to beg and fake tears, bringing up the good times in our relationship. I told him, please leave me alone as you've wasted too much of my time already. I texted my cousin to meet me at the coffee shop. He kept saying nonsense, even suggesting if I went to couples counseling for a few months, he'd leave me alone. The 20 minutes it took for my cousin to arrive felt like 20 years. In the end, I just stopped listening and stood at the counter, making small talk with the baristas until my cousin arrived. She told him to leave, and if he tried to follow us, she'd call her brothers. He stayed in the coffee shop as far as I know, and we just went home. That's it. It's only been a day, but I feel like it's over, and I'm free of him.